Today on Smacky's Garage, we're going to be replacing the seat tracks on our 1969 Mustang driver's seat. We're going to go through the full step-by-step process of how to take the seat out, how to replace the tracks, put new ones on, and then put it back in. Now, I noticed a little bit of rocking back and forth on the seat, or it was becoming a little bit more pliable than it should. So I went underneath the car and I took a look, and it's actually missing one of the nuts that's on it. When I look at the seat bolts that are there, the nuts that are on it, they don't look like they're the right nuts for the bolts or the studs that are there. The style and everything looks right. I'm pretty sure they all came in a kit together, but when you look at it, they look like they were potentially supposed to be jam nuts, but the seat track that they're on kind of got damaged and is broken. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna replace that. All right, so let's go ahead, let's take the seat out of the car. We'll put it up on the bench. We'll take a look at what went wrong with that track setup, and then we'll replace them with a high quality set that I purchased from National Parts Depot. So let's go ahead, take this out, get the seat up there. All right, to take out the seat, it's 4 bolts, and then it should lift right out. Luckily on these cars, you don't need to get up under, you don't need to jack the car to get to the seat bolts. And that's out. All right, so I got the seat out and we can take a look at the tracks now. The first thing that you notice is this bolt over here, this stud over here, is actually a fine thread metric stud, where this one is actually SAE. So the brackets that were on here actually didn't use the right nuts that came with it. So for this is what came with it, or maybe it was purchased separately. I don't 100% remember. When it was put on, it essentially just misthreaded it and destroyed it. But it's very clear that when you look at this closely, that you can see that there's a, look at this one over here. This was fine threaded at the bottom. So at one point it was all fine threaded. And then this is where the nut went on, where it actually went through, cut some new threads on the stud. And this overall, this is wrong. So this isn't what's supposed to be on there. So we're gonna replace it with these new brackets here that have the correct studs on them and that also have the correct nuts that go with them. So let's go ahead, let's take a look at how we take this apart. Okay, so this here is the seat bracket and what we're gonna be replacing. So with the new seat brackets, it came with pretty much these 2 tracks, the centerpiece, and then this spring here. It came with new studs, which are already pressed in, and then nuts that come with it as well. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take this off. So I'm gonna remove this spring. This spring is actually what keeps this under tension when it moves back and forth. So if you don't take this off, there's a good chance it could shoot out at you. So that is coming off. And then we need to take off each one of these red screws, or these red machine screws on either side. So I'm gonna go ahead and see what size these are. Now these here are going to be external. I think it's called external torque, so it's an E10 bit. So the bit essentially looks like this, and it just goes right over the top of it. You can take them off. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove both of these from either side. After I get that, I'm going to go down to this side and then take this one off. And we're gonna do the same thing over here. Now, if you're like me, you've already taken this one out, you need to pull this forward to be able to slide this back. So essentially, you can pull on this and then slide this into place. So this spring here is what's holding it from going back and forth. So now that that's done, we can go ahead and remove this last bolt. Now these bolts don't come with the kits, so you're gonna have to reuse them, unless you buy new ones. Now that I have that out, I can go ahead and put this one into place. This seat bracket, like we were looking at, needs to be slid over. So I need to pull this out a little bit so I can pull this bracket down to put that into place. Another easier way to do it is just take the piece that you had here, put it back into where it was. Then when you pull, go ahead and slide it a little bit. Now that one is exposed. So now I can go ahead and put this bolt back into place. I'm gonna go ahead, pull this again. So to get these bolts in, it's easiest to remove this spring here, which just fell off, And now I can push this over so I can slide this around to screw everything in. So now with this back installed, I'm going to take that spring that I took off and I'm going to put it back into place. Okay, now that that's in place, this has the ability to move back and forth. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to get the other side on. Now for the second side, we're going to do the same thing. Now to make it easier on yourself, if you really want, you can take this all the way out. And after this is all the way out, put it into place. Now with these two, I can then just take this and tighten it down so that they both move at the same time. Okay, now that both of these are tight, I can take this and tighten this. So I'm going to keep going the rest of the way. And make it tight enough so that it doesn't rattle in there when I'm driving around. Okay, now the main point of this bracket here is so that when you pull on this, it also pulls on that side over there. So you can see when I pull this lever, it's also freeing this up, or it's supposed to. So it does need to be tighter, so that means this also needs to be tighter. Now that this is all into the place where it's supposed to be, when I pull this, it's going to pull this, which opens here. It allows this to be freely moving. And then on this side, when I pull it, this also starts freely moving. So let's go ahead, get everything lined up where I want it. I think we'll go right here in the center. Everything is locked back into place. All we need to do is add that one big spring that we took off earlier, which this kit did come with a new one. And we should be okay to go. So this did come with another one of these seat pieces here. I just reused the one that was on the car. So there'll be a hole down here. And this spring goes into, and this needs to go all the way up top. So now that's the main job of the spring, is to help you move the seat back when you pull here. So it gives you a little bit of extra pull on the track. Now the place where I actually took the spring out from was one hole further down, but I put it up here. I haven't seen any adverse effects from it yet. I'm going to try it out, but if you're, I don't know, that's what it was originally in when I just took it apart down here, but moved it up one. We'll see how it does. You can see everything is in place, everything is fit, everything is now tightened down, so we can go ahead and try dropping it in the car. All right, now with the seat mounted, I should be able to just jump in and I'll move freely back and forth. Check the entire range of motion. Everything's good. It locks in and we are good. All right, so everything's back installed. I put the 4 nuts on the bottom, then I put the plugs back in so no water can get in there. And the seat seems to be working great. Thanks for tuning in to Smacky's Garage. I'll see you next time.